Hey, good day, viewers. Welcome back to Common Ground Humanism with David Oliverio. That is I. I have a special guest with me today, my good friend, Wil Jeudy.
Hello.
Wil, so nice for you to join me on my little show.
Good to be here.
So Wil and I go back a long way. I don't remember exactly where we met. I think it might have been at that one of the Humanist communities here in Houston years ago.
Yeah, it was a Humanist. Gave a talk at Humanist of Houston, 2017.
Was it that long ago?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we became good friends, and I want everyone to understand and see what Wil does. He does so much. So before I turn it over to Wil, I'm going to go over just your brief little bio, and you can kind of fill it in later. So Wil is a current member, or he's been a member of our precious Oasis Secular Community
Right.
Here in Houston since 2016. You've been a board member there since 2018. You're the founder of Secular Houston.
That's right.
Now we're going to give you an opportunity to expound on all these here a little bit.
Good.
You're currently the Texas State Director for American Atheists.
That's right.
And of course, you're involved in the Interfaith movement here in Houston. All right, so Wil, tell us a little bit about your upbringing, your history in church, maybe how you came out, your education, and then we're going to kind of segue into what you're currently doing.
So, I was indoctrinated more in school. My household wasn't very religious. We didn't go to church as a family. It was just not really a thing. But my dad wanted to put my sister and I in a private school just so that we can go at our own pace. And looking back, probably didn't like the whole public school system. A little bit. This is his mindset. So anyway, from grades 1 through 9, I was at a private school. This is down in South Texas by Mexico. And it was a private school, non-denominational Christian school, small, like a schoolhouse type of environment. And we had an hour of Bible study every day, every school day. And that's where I became a good Christian kid. Learned about the Bible, all the stories, knew a bunch about the Bible actually. And so again, became a good believer, I remember believing all the stories, questioning, how can someone live in the belly of a whale for 3 days? Or how can all those animals fit on this boat?
Yeah.
I knew as a kid, just intuitively, that didn't fit. But you just think, well, it's God, it's magic. He made it happen. So I just kind of swallowed hard and moved forward.
Yeah.
But that's where I became a believer. And I was a believer until my late 30s, early 40s. But once I stopped going to that school and went to a normal high school, went to a college, learned about the wider world, the bigger world out there, other religions, met other people from other parts of the world, and I stopped being indoctrinated every day. I just slowly flittered away from religion. So there was never a trauma, there was never a moment. It just made less and less sense. It was less and less of my life. But yeah, it took decades for me to finally just say, I'm done with organized religion generally and Christianity specifically.
Right.
And I remember toward the end thinking, it was a mental exercise, thinking, okay, I'm going to cut Jesus loose. I envisioned it to a helium balloon with a string. All right, the last step, I'm going to cut this string and let Jesus float away. And it took me about a month to do that mental exercise. I was very frustrated, like, dude, why is it taking you so long? Why is it so hard? But it's a core belief, and it's something that's ingrained in you as a kid, and it's kind of hard to do that. So I finally did.
Yeah.
And since I did, I'm just as moral. Sunsets are just as pretty. I still find meaning in this life.
Yeah.
And so people will ask, okay, well, religion's gone. What filled that void? It's humanism.
Right.
That's all the good things of religion without the supernatural aspect of it, without the dogma.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's segue into what you're currently doing right now here in Houston. So right now you are currently a member of the Houston Oasis.
That's right.
So let's tell the viewers about our community here in Houston a little bit.
Yeah, Houston Oasis, it is a safe place for people that don't believe or are questioning their belief. And the belief could be Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, whatever, any type of religion.
Mm-hmm.
It's a place where you can come in and meet like-minded folks
Mm-hmm.
and a safe space
Mm-hmm.
to explore that.
Right.
And that's exactly what it was. I wasn't looking for a community when I kind of stumbled into it in
Yeah.
2016, but I quickly got hooked on the people and just
Mhm.
talking to like-minded people, and for the lack of a better word, I don't. Tribe has its negative connotations, but
Yeah.
you find your tribe, you find your people, and quickly became hooked and became more and more involved in Oasis.
Right, right. So what do you do at the community? What are you actually involved in right now currently?
Yeah, I wear a lot of hats. I'm kind of a little bit of a crazy.
Yeah, we're going to
crazy
talk about
guy,
all the
yeah.
hats.
Talk about many hats. In Oasis, I started doing more and more volunteering, getting more involved in the volunteer work, helping out where I could, and I joined the board in late 2018.
Mm-hmm.
And from the inside, you just help to make it work.
Right, right.
You kind of take a leadership position in fundraising and committees and all of those things.
Right.
So my involvement now, I was secretary for a while.
Mm-hmm.
All the board members' positions, president, secretary, treasurer, they were kind of extended because of COVID. We should have dropped out or termed out before we did, but COVID made us extend those days. So
Yeah.
I had a kind of an extended secretary role. But new board came in. I was able to step down. I'm just a regular board member now.
Yeah.
For Oasis, and that's what my role is now. I have some experience. I have experience in other secular groups.
Yeah.
Both in Houston and in Texas and in the nation.
Right.
So I'm trying to bring that experience to Oasis, Houston Oasis. And Oasis is a network. There are different chapters in different cities across the nation.
Right, right. So would you describe Houston Oasis Secular Community as similar to a church in some ways?
Sure, it's structured. The structure is kind of churchy, if for lack of a better term. There is a talk, which again, it's not religious. It's more like a TED talk. And it could vary from science-based to artistic philosophy. We run the gamut, and I'm really proud of the speakers we've had over the years. There's a talk. There's music. A musician comes in, a local musician, and we support them. And again, these aren't hymnals or religious based. It's rock, it's folk, it's jazz. It's great music. So people that have trauma from church, they may not like it. They may be triggered from that structure. People greeting you. I don't have a ton of experience in churches, but it's a little bit of a churchy structure. But my argument, and the argument I've heard from other people, is that, well, why should churches have a monopoly on the structure?
Yeah.
This is a template that has been perfected over 2,000 plus years.
Yep.
Why do they get to monopolize it? So we're going to say, you know what? Music is a part of humanity. Greeting people, greeting strangers, having a community, learning together. That is part of the human experience.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to have our version of it, and we tweak it. We are in the process of saying, all right, we could make this better. We get feedback from the people.
Yeah.
Let's maybe not have music one week. Let's do lunches. We're tweaking it, so we're trying to figure out our version of that template. Yeah. So to answer your question, the argument could be made that we have a churchy structure, but so be it.
It's proven to work.
People, the lazy way of explaining us is, oh, we're an atheist church. There's way more nuance to that.
Yes, yes.
I don't push back too hard because it's going to take 10 minutes to describe that, to unpack that. Yeah. But so be it.
So be it. Yeah. So let's segue and let's move into something else you do a lot of. You were involved or are involved in Secular Houston, and you started it. So let's talk about your Secular Houston, what you do here in the city.
Yeah, Secular Houston's my baby. Over the years, I got more involved in local politics, just me, Wil, and more involved in Houston Oasis, so my secular world, and in American Atheist, other secular groups, both locally and statewide and nationally. So I started doing more and more in both of these worlds. And at a certain point, I realized I don't have enough time or energy to do both efficiently, so I decided to merge the two. And Houston Oasis is not an activist group. It's a 501c3 nonprofit. Really cannot get involved in political stuff. So I formed my own group called Secular Houston, again, to merge political activism with secularism. And this was December of 2021 when I formed it. It had been bouncing in my head for a few years. So what does that mean to merge the two? Well, there was no secular voice in local politics here in Houston. And I've seen other groups, not a lot, but other groups do it nationwide, different cities in the nation. So what we do is we send out questionnaires to everybody running locally. We're nonpartisan.
Okay.
So we're not a Democrat club or Republican, but we're nonpartisan. So we send a questionnaire out to everyone running, the ones that return the questionnaire. That's how we decide who to endorse. And this is Secular Houston, again, not Houston Oasis. And the questionnaires kind of tease out how they feel about separation of church and state, LGBTQ issues, climate change, science in general. How are they okay with hiring non-believers in their staff? It's kind of a wide range, but we get an idea of where they stand. And based on the answers, we have a little small committee that looks at them. We'll decide if they're worth our endorsement, and we'll endorse them. We'll have a list of endorsees for every election that happens every year, at least twice a year, so primaries and the general election. And we'll tell anyone in our orbit, we'll let them know, hey, we did the work. These people align with our values of separation of church and state, respect to science, being okay with non-belief. Those are the three main beliefs, the main things that drive our decision to endorse. These people are worth your vote, your energy, your time. So freaking get them elected. These are all local people. This is local politics. Some statewide offices, but mainly local. Yeah. So I get it. People out there have 2-3 jobs. They have kids. It takes energy and time to know who you want to vote for. Totally get it. So this is our way of saying we see you. We understand. So we did the work. If you trust us, if you want the world to look like we want it to look, then do your best to get these people elected. I'm holding up our endorsement list. And voting is the least you can do. I mean, I'm assuming everybody votes, and I'm trying to get to that point. Yeah. So voting is great. It's basic. It's the baseline. Right. We need you to do something extra to help these people get elected. Oh, what's that extra? Glad you asked. I made a whole other list of things that people can do, either from telling a friend to vote for them, which is easy, or running for office yourself, and there's a bunch of stuff in between, so from easy to hard.
Let's talk about church-state separation momentarily before we get into the American Atheists that you're involved in. For me, I've been very surprised that there are more and more Christians who do support church-state separation. So how do you find that with what all you do for Secular Houston? Do you run into some believers that are still fighting back against this separation church and state, and how do you overcome that?
That has been the biggest surprise of my adventures with all this. So yes, through Secular Houston, we push back hard on Christian nationalism, which is really the boogeyman in the room as far as we're concerned, secular people. So we push back. I push back on it with my Secular Houston hat on. I push back with my American Atheist hat on. Christian nationalism is a big deal. It's insidious. It's in the shadows. And in Texas, it has more of an influence than people think. In my pushback against Christian nationalism, I started to notice an interfaith energy
Yeah.
in Texas and nationwide. As I dug deeper, as I kind of started to meet people, see what they are saying, most of this interfaith crowd is Christian or Jewish. I mean, there's a scattering of other religions.
Mm-hmm.
Not a ton of atheists or secular people, but they're there. But as I started listening to them and seeing what they are doing in these interfaith groups, I was stunned. I was absolutely floored by how hard these Christians are pushing back against Christian nationalism.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as a twisting of their religion. They absolutely do not want it around, and they push back harder. They have been pushing back harder and longer than we have in the secular world.
Yeah.
It amazed me. And they've done the work, and they've been doing the work for decades. Actually, there's certain groups that have been around for 70 years pushing back against Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
And most of them are Christians. I say Christians, but it's mostly Christians.
Yeah.
So that has been an absolute surprise. And even locally, we have met some Christians that are doing the work, and they have been doing the work for a while. So it's nice to meet them. It's been great. It's really changed my mindset on things, and I'm proud to be at the table with them. We have talked to them. They basically say, "Yeah, where have you been? Come to the table.
Come to the
Let's
table."
talk."
Yeah.
And it's been a terrific surprise.
It's been very eye-opening for you and I and some others to attend these interfaith groups here in Houston. Like you, Will, I'm just very surprised with my background. I didn't know that there were many believers that reached out to people of different beliefs, and even those of us that are non-believers, just connect. And it goes right along with what we're trying to do and what I'm trying to do, and with what you're trying to do with Secular Houston, of finding the commonalities of humanity, working together as people, right? And we want rights for everybody. And you and I and a few others have been attending some of the interfaith workshops and meetings and conventions here in Houston. And yes, I agree, Will. We have met some wonderful people from all different faiths, a lot of Christians. Kim maybe.
Right.
In fact, Kim's coming on the show in a couple weeks.
Right on.
She's going to be sitting right here, right where you are. And she's a believer. She's involved with Interfaith. So, but I really appreciate all the work that you do through your Secular Houston. You're plugging in other people, getting other people involved, giving them a platform to get out there and reach out and to make a better world for everybody. Did you want to share anything else on that, Tom?
Just with Secular Houston, there was not a secular voice in local politics, but now there is. So you're right, exactly right. I built this platform from which to do secular political activism. And what we do, slowly, more and more people have been ticking in. We're in all the social medias, and I try to disseminate information, try to teach people how to be more effective with their advocacy, with their activism, with their energy and time and money. Focus that energy more efficiently for the goal of affecting local change. And what that does is it gives secularism a voice where there was none before. The other advantage of Secular Houston is that it gives people a way to do something. You see the stuff happening out there, and people just are disgusted. Oh, I wish there was something I could do.
Yeah.
Well, there is. There is now, and that's what I want people to know. And that's really what I'm proud of, because it really does help people. They go to bed at night saying, okay, the Ten Commandments bill is bad, Christian nationalism is bad, there's an assault on the reproductive rights. But I did this thing to affect change, and you go to bed at night smiling, saying, things suck, but I did something to make change.
Right. It does take action. I remember as a child, maybe your parents told you this too, they used to always say, actions speak louder than words.
Sure.
I think we've known a lot of people through the years who talk a lot, right? And they talk about wanting to make change, or they're complaining about particular situations in the world. And they complain, but they don't do. Even as a young preacher back in the 70s and 80s, I used to quote from the Bible, be doers, remember this one? Be doers of the word and not hearers only. So my Christian viewers are going to like that one, right?
Yeah. Or faith
So,
without works is dead.
Faith without works is dead, right? So rather than just sitting here and complaining, get up and do something. So that's what Wil Jeudy does. He's a doer rather than just a talker. He gets things done. We'll talk about the American Atheists and what you're doing there as the state director here in the state of Texas.
American Atheist has been another terrific platform, a great hat that I'm proud to wear. So I was assistant state director in the Houston area. About the same time I got onto the board of Houston Oasis, actually the same month.
Yeah.
And a couple of years later, I was promoted to state director for American Atheist. It's a volunteer position. You can do as little or as much as you want with that position, and a little bit crazy, so I decided to do more versus little. So I take it upon myself to reach out to all the secular groups in Texas as the state director for American Atheists. Figure out, hey, how you doing? Is there anything we can do to help make sure they're healthy, and maybe squash any beefs that may be going on within the cities, any individual city. And eventually, once they're healthy, I want to have them start communicating with each other. Hey, what's working for you? What's working for you? And just have a really strong, robust system of secular communities in Texas.
Yeah.
So,
good.
yeah.
Hey.
And I'm sorry, one more thing
Right.
that American Atheist does. They've been wanting to get more involved in state legislatures.
Oh.
So kind of what I'm doing here in Secular Houston locally, American Atheist has teams doing that at the state level, and I believe we have about 7 or 8 states now that have a team. It's called the Secular Advocacy Team. And we make noise at the state level and push back on bad bills, advocate for good bills, and just let the Texas, or the state legislatures, but here in Texas, I'm part of that team, the chair of that team, let them know that we exist, and there is a group that cares about separation of church and states, and those values.
So making all this that you're talking about relevant to common ground humanism, which you agree with and what you're doing so well. We could also talk about trying to normalize or put a face on, which some people have had a misunderstanding on, as far as a humanist or a secular person, right? And some of our fellow secular people are upset, rightly so, why certain believers would look at us a certain way and assume that we are either immoral or nihilistic, unhappy, we don't have love and things like that. So how do we normalize it? Well, you and I would agree, you get out there, out of our bubble, and talk to them, work with them like you do.
That's right.
Right?
Like we do. Yeah.
Like we do,
Yeah.
okay. And that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And so we try to encourage, Wil and I and many others try to encourage our fellow humanists to get out of our bubbles and to mingle and talk to and find common ground with believers of all kinds.
Right, knowing that sometimes it's hard for people to do that. They have job commitments or family commitments. If there's even a whiff of humanism, they may suffer for it.
Yeah.
Totally understand. So that's kind of why we offer a safe space at Houston Oasis, so that you can come, and we take confidentiality seriously. If you don't want to be found out, so to speak, we do everything we can to protect, to honor that. But yes, if you want to get out, if you want to interact with different people and let your humanism shine, then we're a resource to show you how to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. In other words, to lessen the misunderstanding that some believers have in us, there's only one way to do that, and that's to interact and engage with them. And just to show them, and just like many of my Christian friends have told me through the years, they made an assumption about many of us who are humanists and non-believers, that we should be acting a certain way, contrary to the way they act. But actually, when you get to know these people, like you and I have got to know a lot of these people at the Houston Interfaith.
That's right.
And our Muslim friends, our Christian friends,
Right.
and people, I mean, we're so much alike, and that's really, that's what we're trying to do.
And it goes both ways. They have assumptions about us, and we have assumptions about them, and this is what we
Good
are
point.
trying to work on.
That brings up the angry atheist stage, which we've
Yeah.
discussed. We've known each other for several years. I don't think you really went through that traumatized angry atheist
Yeah, I
stage.
didn't.
You didn't do that, yeah. And of course, you know my story, I did. But there are some people still in our community and other humanist communities that have been traumatized. But that's, I think that's why it's very important to have these communities, these like-minded communities, a place to get healed up, right?
Sure.
And able to get back out there and talk to people and so forth, yeah. Is there anything else about the interfaith that you want to discuss? Any plans for you in the future with the interfaith here in Houston or any other interfaith groups in the country that you've got your radar on?
It's a constant work in progress. There's always events that we have a lot in common with, and they're always coming up. I don't think our work will ever be done. It's just a constant showing up to their events and vice versa. They show up to our events, get to know each other better. So locally, it's again a work in progress, which is fine. I find joy in that. And then I'm just trying to get the word out on a state level and national level to the groups doing the work, basically letting them know, hey, we're doing some good things in Houston. We're not trying to get on your shows or get any special recognition, but what we do want you to know is that we're doing it, and we're getting good success. We're getting inertia. We're doing good work here in Houston. So whenever you say, "Oh, Texas sucks," I want them to think, "Oh, well, Houston's kind of doing some good stuff." So that's been kind of one of my goals over the last maybe 3 or 4 months. Is just let these groups know that we're doing some cool stuff here in Houston.
And what about those of us that are humanists that do public speaking? You and I have gone into several churches.
Right.
Some of the Unitarian churches and other churches. Personally, I think that's a really good and important and vital thing that we can do in order to build bridges with people that may have a different worldview. But you've been into several churches.
Sure.
Speaking. And I guess for the viewers, those of you that are Christians or some of my Muslim friends, Wil and I are available here in the Houston area, right, to come and to talk with your group and to show you that we all can agree on so many beautiful things in this world as human beings. Is there anything else you want to share before we close this up that's on your mind?
I'm just glad you have a platform to get this message out. Any group, life, society is a tapestry. You're going to have a spectrum of people. So in our group, in our world, you have angry atheists, anti-theists, and then you have people that are just coming out of religion and still have that core belief in there somewhere, and which can cause some dissonance. It can cause some struggles sometimes, but you have everything in between. So I think we appreciate that. We're kind of older, we're wiser, we've seen some things, and we appreciate that no group of people is a monolith. And we are one voice, we are one. I liken it to a cube, 3-dimensional cube. So we are one side of a cube, and I think we're doing it well. Yeah, I look forward to our future adventures, my friend.
Yeah, I feel like we're just getting started as more mature gentlemen. I'd like to also see the younger people get involved, and I think we've got some at Oasis, and maybe with your Secular Houston, you've got some of the younger people helping you out. Is that right?
That's right.
Yeah, I think that's what's really important for us as more mature. You notice I said mature, not older.
Thank you for that.
We like to see the younger people involved, and doing the work of reaching out to all people. All right, well, thank you so much, my friends, for watching. And Wil, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all you do. I appreciate your friendship. You inspire me, all that you do. I just watch you on so many different venues, and I'm just so proud to see Wil involved in so many things and doing good and reaching out to all people. So thank you so much for watching, my friends. And remember to be kind to all and have a wonderful day.